Hello guys, it's Andy the Angry White Lawyer here again. Been travelling a bit, so that's why we've been in the van. Anyway, Ben Habib. I used to like him. I used to like him a lot. But since the split from Reform, I think he has really sunk down a hole. I did a video recently on why I felt that Lowe was controlled opposition, Rupert Lowe, and I still stand by that, his ties to the Tory party. I'm not going to get into that, but have a look at the video. I'll put a link to it at the end of this one. But Ben Habib is a little bit of a different animal because his history is such that it leads me to believe, this is why I said in the Lowe video, you look at the evidence, look where it leads you, and that led me to that conclusion. The evidence here leads me to the conclusion that Habib is driven completely by hatred.
I hate you. You always ruin everything.
Hatred of Farage, hatred of Reform. I mentioned June Slater before. I really like her. She's pointed out that she did an AI search on this, and Habib spends most of his time rubbishing Farage and rubbishing Reform rather than criticising anything else about Labour or Tories, although he does that. But most of his time is spent hacking away at Reform. And you've got to wonder why. I did my own little bit of research on this, and it's true that certainly in recent times he stepped that up, it appears. I'll put a graphic here to show that. But I mean, let's look at how this came about, because he was, of course, in Reform, was a high-profile leader within Reform, and he lost a winnable seat, some say, in Wellingborough in the last general election. Largely, I think, due to his daft comments with Julia Hartley-Brewer on Talk TV, where he said that he would leave migrants drown. That doesn't find favour with most of the members of the public, although probably some of his supporters in advance would go along with that. But yeah, if you want to win elections, you don't make comments like that. And for all our feelings about migrants and immigration and all the rest of it, nobody should feel like that. So that basically blew up in his face, and he lost that. As a result of that, he was sidelined by Farage and Reform, as was Dr. David Bull, who's the current chairman, as were a number of others who didn't win a seat, because it was felt that people who didn't win seats should be more in the back room. And I don't think his ego could handle that. And at every opportunity then he started criticising Farage and Reform, although he was never sacked. Rupert Lowe had the whip taken off him when he was an MP, and he was effectively ousted. But Ben Habib quit Reform, and he has admitted this himself. It's a myth that he was sacked and got rid of out of Reform. He wasn't. His role was changed and he couldn't handle it. That's the truth of it. So ever since then, he's been rubbishing Reform, and he set up his little party. And I think the aim of that party, and his aim personally, is to stop Reform. He campaigned against Reform in Runcorn, where Sarah Pochin won, was urging people up there on the right to vote Labour to stop them winning. This is not the act of a rational person on the right. This is the act of a man driven by hatred. That's where the evidence is leading me personally. So he's done it again, hasn't he, with Gordon and Denton? The left has coalesced around the Greens, George Galloway with his Workers' Party, Corbyn and Sultana with Your Party. They have not fielded a candidate there, neither of them, to allow the Greens a clean run at that. And I actually think the Greens might win that seat, despite being discounted by most other commentators on YouTube. I think they could actually win it due to tactical voting, if nothing else, and the Muslim vote. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that if I am wrong, I'll come on here and say, thank God I was wrong and Reform won. Great. But I think they might win it. And do you know what will be really great for Habib is if Matt Goodwin, falls short by a couple of hundred votes, and those couple of hundred votes went to Advance, because that would give Habib wet dreams, wouldn't it? They're fielding Nick Buckley. Don't know a huge amount about him, other than he's loved by the Advance people as a local candidate, which is a plus, of course. His social media comments, I'm not going to repeat them here, but I'll put something up. Suspect, to say the least. This is the type of people they've got in that party. They recruited Tommy Robinson, which I thought was a big plus for Reform, because they've distanced themselves from him. I've read his autobiography. I know quite a bit about him. I'm not going to get into him here. This video isn't about that, but like it or not, he's toxic. I think even his own followers would accept that he's toxic. They would say unfairly, others would say fairly. Any sensible politician would distance his party from Tommy Robinson. Foolish. I mean, Habib is a political child, very much like Rupert Lowe. They haven't got a fraction of the political nous that Farage has, but he's honed his skills over 25 years, 30 years in the European Parliament. These guys are businessmen who are used to getting their own way. So the left coalesces in Gorton and Denton, and what does the right do? Egos have split the right again, and that could lead to disaster. Then again, it might not make a difference. Let's see. So Habib is not your friend. Lowe is not your friend. These people know that they can't win. They're spoilers that are cheered on by the Conservatives and by Labour. And it's interesting that a Tory strategist was quoted recently in one piece of media that I saw. I'll put something up about that, to say that the involvement of Advance is important, and parties like them, because the margins are so tight in some of these seats that only 1,000 votes, less than 1,000 votes sometimes, can make a difference between who wins and who doesn't. And I think, like Habib or not, he's not a stupid man, and neither is Lowe. And they've seen this, and I think that they are aware of it, and I think that they know that if they can piss on Reform's parade, excuse my French, they will, and trust me, they will have wet dreams if Gorton and Denton goes to the Greens or Labour and Advance made the difference. That may or may not happen, I don't know. But Advance UK, it's a party that is driven by Habib's hatred of Farage and Reform. That's where the evidence has led me. And I think that they are not the answer. If you think that they are the answer, I've seen some comments on social media about, oh, well, Reform will do for now, but Advance eventually, yay. No, there's actually not a lot between. I've mentioned this in the Low video. There's not a lot between these parties, other than more strident rhetoric on the part of Advance and Restore. But then again, egos simply won't allow for these people to step in line behind Reform. It's sad, but there we go.
Stop it. Get some help.
As for Gorton and Denton, I think the Greens will probably win. I know that that goes against the grain of many content creators. They've said that the Greens have blown it. They've said that the Greens won't win. Look how stupid Hannah Spencer is. It's fake. These things in the mosque where she's praying. She wouldn't be allowed to pray with men and all the rest of it. Yeah, she's not what she seems. She is definitely not what she seems. But I think that she could actually win. If I'm wrong, I'll come on here and say that I'm wrong. And I'd be glad if Goodwin wins, believe me. So there we are. Fingers crossed for tomorrow. Am I right? Am I wrong about Advance? Let me know. Jury's out.